All right. Good evening, and welcome to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I am your host, Audra Hurd, and so excited to be here in what we call the virtual studio. I have none other with me than Coach Peaches Coach. I said Coach again. Coach Peaches Coach.
That's all
Coach, I'm so excited to have her back. She was with us in season one of the Working Wednesdays broadcast. So we are here in season four. I love my return guests because they always come back with great stuff and updates about what they are doing. So I'm so excited to have her here with us this evening. Do me a favor, like, share, tag the video, get someone on with us this evening who needs to hear about purpose. She's going to talk to women in ministry, women of faith in business. So that is a huge topic. I was actually talking about briefly about that last week. And I was just saying that a lot of people, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but a lot of people have challenges with transferring from ministry to business when it comes to cost, when it comes to how much should I charge. A lot of people want to keep giving their stuff away and not charging for it. So it's challenging to make that transition, but I'm sure we'll get into that conversation as well. So I'm so excited to have her on. She always brings a lot of wealth of knowledge, a wealth of understanding. She gave me some clarity a couple years ago when it came to a online course I was doing and just needed to take the leap. She walked me through it step by step. So she really is that coach, that midwife. So I'm excited to have her on tonight. So just briefly, Coach Peaches, if you could just introduce yourself to the audience and say hello. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. Hi, I am L Peaches Coach Peaches, Prophet Peaches, just Peaches. That's who I am. I'm the prophetic midwife in the Business Birthing Incubator.
Yeah.
And what I do is I help women just like you who love God but are in business and want to marry the two together for the abundance that God has given us. Amen.
Amen. Amen. So do us a favor again, like, share, tag the video. I'm trying to get everything set up here so I can watch comments as we chat. Again, I'm Audra Hurd, your host for this evening. I am the CEO of IBG Publications, as well as the Ambassadors Institute, which is our biblical online training school. So we are excited to be here tonight. We're going to go ahead and jump on into the conversation. Coach Peaches, start off telling us what you do and what kind of services that you offer.
So what I end up doing is I take women and a few good men into what I call the business birthing incubator. We cover your business while you're going through the process of figuring out how you want to handle it. We walk you through step by step from zero to hero. It's what we do with the principles of God that you're standing on. We don't automatically make the money that we want to make without God, and we don't the two need to go together. So that's what we basically do. I have one-on-one services, and I only have 5 spots left in my one-on-one services, as well as the group services that we have. And so that group just closed, but it should be opening back up again shortly. And so that's the whole process. We just take you in an incubated state, get you a product, and then in the process of you really starting your business and blooming it and birthing that baby that God has given you, we also give you little side hustles to start making money along the way, because a lot of people need money today. Business owners, aspiring business owners that work for a corporation still, but they want to go to their own business. And so that's what we do. We just help you birth what God has given you. And in the midst of that, we know that God is a provider. He pays child support on his children. So therefore, the provision is always made. And we show you
Yes.
how to make that provision until you can get to the greater numbers.
Nice. I love God's child support. It's off the chain. I love his child support. And I love the fact that you talked about those little side hustles and those little things that you can do to make money. Everybody don't like that lifestyle, because it's not consistent in the sense of hitting a paycheck hitting the bank every 2 weeks.
Correct.
But it does pay the bills. You have to have a certain level of discipline if you're going to operate in that particular realm. And you got to have a certain level of faith too, because you just don't know where it's coming from. And you really do have to trust God along the process. Can you share some of those side hustles for somebody that might be listening that needs a side hustle?
So yeah, it really depends on who the person is. That's why I do one-on-one coaching, because it
Gotcha.
depends on who you are and what you're doing. And so I sit down and do an exercise that I call your amazingness, and we figure out what you're amazing at. Everyone is amazing at something. There's something in this world that you are amazing at, that you have a higher level of understanding about that other people don't. So all I am is your Phil Jackson to the Michael Jordan. You're the Michael Jordan. And so what we do is we show you those side hustles. So it may be something like low to no cost books. It may be
Hmm.
something as simple as you being able to get on. And it's a broad prospect. So let's use something like cooking. If you were a chef and you decided that I want to start this whole business, I've been selling dinners. I've been a chef for a while, and I want to come into your home, come into my customer's home and figure it out. We help you, number one, figure out why you're doing what you're doing. Then we walk you through who your customer actually is. It's not everybody that eats, right?
Right.
You have
Right.
to be able to direct to someone, because if you don't have someone, then no one will show up. The world is loud that we're speaking to. So then we start talking about what is it that you already do. So if you're a chef, then what I would usually suggest is let's go do a recipe book. Get you just
Hmm.
a few recipes out, and let's pop you out a digital recipe book. Let's
Yeah.
pop you out a cooking class, some basics on cooking and measuring, because that seems to be the biggest issue with people is the measurements. You can go
Yeah.
on and find a recipe that for a six family home, but what happens if it's just two of you at home? So how do you break the recipes down? So I would just walk you through breaking the recipes down, and then put out some type of book or ebook explaining why this is amazing. If you are a chef and you believe in natural health like you do, or Audra, then what I would do is say, let's put something out that goes into what you believe in, a healthy process. And then it will be a tracker. Let's track your different stats, your numbers, your what do they call it? The A2C I saw in the commercial. I don't even know what that is, but track that stuff. If you're dealing
Yeah.
with if you're dealing with those numbers, if you're dealing with any types of issues that you've already had and you're praying over them, you want to know how it is. So you as a chef would want to give the person who has high blood pressure, if you're working on your blood pressure and you're using more turmeric and more ginger and more garlic in your diet, then you want to be able to see the numbers from the time you started with me to the time that you end. So you may do something like a journal, a tracking journal, or a food journal. You may want to do something when it comes to drinking. If you're dealing with juicing and fruits, smoothies and things like that, you want to track those types of things. So those are different things that you can do. Then you can offer basic courses, because you know some things that you feel like everyone knows, and I promise you, everyone doesn't know it. Just
Right.
maybe a few people that are around you, and that's what ends up happening is we live a life thinking everyone knows what we know, and we don't. And so you have to
Mm.
figure out who you are to
Yeah.
that industry. What is it that you're doing? I had one of my friends talking to me about ministry. She says when I speak to her all the time, she's sitting down and she's looking for ministry things. And she says, but I'm going in jargon that she didn't know. So she says, you always have me in Google trying to figure out what these terms are when you're talking to me. And this is me talking to her one on one. And she can come back with questions, but she wants to know what is a viable question in that area. So you
Yeah.
would get there one on one and then get prophetically what it is that God is saying for you. And that was inspired by you, Audra, because what is it that you had before where people would come in when they're doing their book? What is it called?
Book birthing sessions.
See? And so the Holy Spirit came and said, business birthing all together. And so it took me a
Wow.
minute. I went back and I was looking at the video that we did our last in the first season. And that's when God said, see, this is not even new to you. Because I thought it was new. I'm like, nobody's heard of this. And God is saying, no, I'm not giving you anything new up under the sun. I'm just giving you strategy and blueprints and an
Yeah.
infrastructure to build it so it can't fall.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Such good stuff, that birthing process. And that's exactly what you're doing, even when you're sitting and doing that brainstorming and then leading them. It's almost like you're leading them to the baby, so to speak, because the questions start cultivating the product. And then when you get to the product, that's a whole process to itself as well. So you're actually doing the incubation all the way up to the birth, actually. So that's really good stuff. That's good stuff. Talk about some of you have a lot of journals, which I'm sure aid in what you do as well. So talk about some of your journals and how those assist in what you do.
So number one is that God told me that I should be teaching people how to pray, journal, and write. And so that's a part of every program that I do. It's dealing with the mindset and the spirit itself. And if you don't bring the spirit in with the mindset and then you begin writing, you can see how God speaks to you. Everyone wants to hear God's voice that knows how amazing God is. We all want to hear his word and what he has to say. But sometimes he's already planted that inside of us, and then by the time a prophet shows up or someone that's prophetic to give a prophetic word, it's confirmation. And then it adds more to it. So I have a number of journals and I have a number of prayer journals that I do as well. I have goals journals to help people set their goals for the
Nice.
goals journal. I have gratitude journals to help them get their heart together
Mhm.
because we work on different things. I went through a whole season of migraines, and a lot of people are dealing with migraines.
I saw that.
Migraines
Yes.
because this is what helps with the prevention until you can figure out what stimulants are with migraines and headaches. Like I found that the cigarette smoke almost killed me once. And so people
Wow.
put in so extra, but they don't understand those 3 weeks of being totally low and wondering if you're going to die. And then getting confirmation that five other people died in a 3 week time frame and none of the medicines were working for me. They had to fly a
Wow.
doctor in and give me 12 shots to the back of my head and spine. And so when I see people smoke cigarettes, they're like, "Oh well, I got a choice just like you have a choice." You do, just don't give it to me.
Right.
And then one of my prayer journals is the Anointed. Um, just we pray over each one of these journals before they go out because it's important. I want you to have the grace to go through with that. We have the Denim Diamonds and Pearls prayer journal. This is our number one bestseller and my absolute favorite. It's one of the luxury lines, of course, because it has the colored pages and that give you inspiration every single day to start
Love
tomorrow's day.
it.
Mhm.
That interior looks delicious.
I love it because it keeps me inspired too when you don't feel like writing. And I know I'm a little different from most people. I like to journal a lot. So sometimes I may want to go into Denim Diamonds and Pearls. And then other days I might want to go to Divine Joy. This is my first journal. If I feel like my
Yeah.
peace is at stake, I'll hit to Divine Joy in a heartbeat. And it's really simple to write what you have. And then every couple of days, I just added quotes in so that you understand divine joy, joy that joy begins with you, joy today. And I just give quotes each and every day to inspire, just so that you know that joy is your portion, just like abundance is your portion. We have another gratitude journal, which is New Beginnings Gratitude. I love this one. This is one I'm very sensory. So it's matte, and I love the feeling of matte. I don't know why I never
Hmm.
felt that before, but it
Wow.
absolutely does it for me. And butterflies are my favorite. But New Beginnings, because that's what we all are going through after this pandemic, is new beginnings. And if we
Yes.
give gratitude to God, then we'll know. This is the last one that has been produced, which is the My Bible Study Journal. And I did this one more of on a neutral ground for men and women, just so that you're going to Bible study prepared. Because I remember the day that I was in Bible study and I wasn't taking notes as much. And I remember the day that we had a guest pastor in, and he asked, "When was the last time that you prayed?"
Hmm.
I was only praying when I went to church. I actually
Mm.
joined in prayer. You're not even praying. Someone on the microphone is praying, and I was joining in on Wednesdays and Sundays. And I had
Mm.
not been praying personally. But I love God because He will come to you and be like, "This is you. This is
Yeah.
right. This is right." I'm so thankful that he did that. And so
Yes.
prayer journals give you the option to you pray every single morning. You should be, or sometime during the day. I choose morning for my personal prayer. And but once you pray, then you just start writing what's on your mind. It doesn't all, we don't always know what we're going to write in the beginning because we're going under the unction of the Holy Spirit. What would you have to say to us today? So even if you don't know what to write about that day, if you just start out by saying, I didn't know what to write about, but Holy Spirit, what do you have to say? And you'll realize that you'll keep going. You'll start writing about anything
Right.
and everything. And then
Right.
you come back, and it may have been something simple as I saw my sister, and then the color that she had on to God showing you it was a prophetic vision that you were having. And
Yeah.
then later on, a month later, you're going, wait a minute, and you can flip back to it. Now you can get
Hmm.
the whole prophecy that he gave when he talked about your sister and that color and why you saw her and what was actually happening. So it's so important for us to get closer to God in this season of life. Not because the world is about to end, not because you're
Right.
getting older, but because he's
Right.
because he first loved you.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
my biggest process. Love God because of who he is, because he first loved you as well, because he's always. And of course, this one, my summer prayer journal, this is my first hard copy, hard
Okay.
cover rather, my first hard cover of a prayer journal. And realize,
Nice.
yes, and I realized that I need more hardcovers because
Hmm.
it just works a whole lot better with the sturdiness of it, and it
Yeah.
lasts with me. And this is one that I do with the teenagers when I'm dealing with
Nice.
teenagers and they want to start journaling, and women that just really need inspiration in their life. Why? Because you get to also color the different pictures in the inside, so it allows you to journal, color,
Hmm.
color a little bit, and coloring gives you the option to kind of clear your mind of everything else in the world,
Yes.
on what God is saying to you, and then you're right there. You can go right in the blank and start writing again. So those are
Yeah.
very important.
Nice. And coloring is therapeutic.
Yeah,
It
it is.
is very therapeutic. You can just kind of get lost in coloring and writing and doodling. Of course I love it, but for somebody listening, coloring is very therapeutic. So I'm definitely gonna have to get that one too. And I'm gonna have to sidebar you on the hardcover, see who you use for that.
Okay,
But nevertheless, go ahead.
and I also have four coloring books that I've released for that reason, because in the pandemic, there's been more uprising of anxieties because of,
Hmm.
everything that's going on. And so I do coloring on different dimensions, different levels of coloring in that one coloring book. So I did not pull those with me, but there are four different coloring books. And so it's easier to go to my website and look those up. But the coloring books are there, and they are. And if it's not mine, get one, because just being able to sit down and get you some color pencils, or if you I just bought this Bible journal, and I bought it, I saw it, and it was so pretty, and I opened it up and it gives me the option to color with my scriptures and write my notes. I was like,
Wow.
oh my. And so it made me even want to go and start breaking the chapters of the Bible down. So that's what I'm going to be doing
Wow.
next month, once a month, just breaking down the chapters of the Bible, giving some journaling prompts, some of the good scriptures that would help with life and what we're dealing with. Give you the option to color a little bit as well as that. So, the coloring is
Nice.
amazing. Yes.
What's your website? I'm going to put it on the screen.
It's bit.ly/Coach Peaches.
Is it capital coach?
No, everything's lowercase.
Lowercase. Okay.
Mhm. I hope. I think it's all lowercase.
I'm going to try it before I put it up. Make sure it works. And it's HTTPS, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to try it before I put it up.
Mhm.
I absolutely love the vein that you operate from in the realm of the spirit. And let me explain for someone who may not understand what that means. When I say the vein that she operates from, everybody has a portal. And I talk about this in Prophecy 101 and every other prophecy I teach. Everybody has a portal, everybody has a door in the spirit that they have access to, and everybody has a lot of good stuff behind their door. It's kind of like the what's that game show? What's behind door number one? What's behind door number blah blah blah? And so everybody has a door that has good stuff behind it. I think a lot of people don't tap into their door or their portal because it doesn't look like somebody else's door. You know,
Right.
somebody else's door might have the Mercedes Benz behind it, but your door has the Pinto. But the Pinto, all it needs to do is be repaired, a little bit of work, and now it's a classic car moving around just as good as the Mercedes. And so I love the fact that you've tapped into your door, you've tapped into your portal, and it doesn't look like what others' doors look like. And I would and I'm gonna compare your portal to mine, not for the sake of my portal is better than yours, but for the sake of look at all I tap into. And we both are writers, we both do books, but yet what was behind your door looks different than what was behind my door. And this is what I want people to see. I want you to see this level of creativity. I'm loving it. You know, the coloring books, you know, I'm loving it. I can't wait to go get mine, of course. But I'm loving the fact that you're behind your portal, and you and I go back a few years now, at least 5 or so years. And I can just, I can see your progress, over the years and how it was challenging. I'm sharing this because you pushed past the challenges. You know, it was challenging to tap into what God was giving you, but you never stopped pushing. You never stopped pressing into it. And now I'm sure you can understand why it was so challenging because it didn't look like what others were doing. And a lot of people won't keep pushing, they won't keep pressing because they're looking for someone to hold their hand every step of the way. And unfortunately, we're not going to have our hand held every step of the way. So let's kind of transition into that conversation, of you pressing into what God had for you. Let's talk about that.
So we have to remember something that people seem to forget. Even in biblical times, all kings had wise counsel. And if their wise counsel was only one person or if it was 12, it always was comprised of a prophet.
Yes.
Why? Because it was important to them to see what the future was. Even Jezebel, who was dealing with people like to say false prophets, but it wasn't false prophets. They were just prophets for Satan. They were prophets for Baal.
Right.
And so when you're dealing with prophets, but you want a prophetic word from the Most High God, that's what you want in order to know what's next. For us to be prepared for what was happening now with coronavirus, we didn't have a name, but we knew something was happening. If you paid
Right.
attention, you listened to the prophets, we all were speaking, and it wasn't really as making as much sense. Now, when I go back and look at these the videos or listen to the audios of when I preached at places, people are like, oh, so you have to keep pressing. And why is that? Because, like she said, to be a pioneer, we're pioneering. I don't care how you
Right.
look at it. Right now, coronavirus, people are going to be wondering how we made it through this for the rest of the earth days,
Yeah.
right? They're going to
Yeah.
always want to know. They're going to be studying us. They're going to probably try to figure out how they can find all these videos. Someone's going to be consuming it because they want to remember. They want to know what happened. I did that with the Great Depression. I was in
Mhm.
my late 20s. I didn't know what I was going to do next with my business. I knew I wanted to invest in my future and not just be in corporate America. And so what I did is I felt like, well, in the Great Depression, those people, because there's always people that come out of depressions, that come out of, these types of processes, that pandemics and epidemics, there's always someone that comes out ahead. And they're not
Right.
always trying to harm or hurt people, but you have to position yourself and stay to it. And the reason for the fight is because when you're pioneering in a place that no one's ever been before, or there's a
Mhm.
few people in other places in the globe, but you may not know them.
Yeah.
You can't look to the left and to the right to see what's going on. But what most importantly is that we have to have wise counsel. God didn't make any of us an island, so we need each other to survive. So I had people that I could out turn to and send a text to, even like you, Audrey, and say, "Hey, listen, I can't
Mhm.
breathe. I like this is a lot. I can't breathe." And we
Yeah.
had those conversations, and she had to say, You need me to send you a box of straws, but you need to keep breathing and keep going. And that's wise counsel. Because if I had gone to any of my friends that really don't believe in God and they're just talking about it or looking like it, or
Right.
anybody who doesn't really, they're broke and disgusted, I had to have people in my inner circle who absolutely understood or had an understanding through God what I was going through and to be able to give me what I was needing in the midst of that. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. And so you have to wake up every single day and you have to fight. Why? Because I want to share an example if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I was in a church loving God, being it all that I could be. I had already known that I needed to go into prayer. I got in part of the intercessory prayer team, which I always do. I started already ushering. I like to greet people when they walk in because I know I have a smile that kills the demons. And I wanted to
Mhm.
do that. And I was in a church, but I was walking into the prophetic. This was years ago. And the church that I was in, while they were amazing for when the season that I needed, but what happened is I was eating there at first, and then it became my job, and I started working there. And I mean my job in the spirit from God. I don't mean the
Right.
church job. And I
Right.
was working there, and then after a while, I wasn't eating as much there, so I had to pray, and God gave me somewhere else that I could be able to eat while I was yet still there working. Sometimes we can't work and eat in the same place.
That's good.
And so, even in the midst of that, God directed me to Apostle John Eckhart. I just ended
Hmm.
up started getting his books, and I had a friend that was going through the same thing, and we found out that we have been running into the same books, that we're reading the same stuff, and so now it's like two of us, and he's mentoring us like he was standing right in front of us, even though we never seen him. And
Yeah.
if it had not been for John Eckhart being able to, impart into me, along with I have apostolic mother and father at the same time, but just being able to impart into me while my door was closed, while I didn't have to worry about what outfit I had on, whether my skirt was
Right.
too short or too long, or was my hair done or was it not done, but that
Yeah.
I could be into the word. And had it not been for John Eckhart fighting through everything he had to go through to get to where he was, to write these books, to get on
Yeah.
video, where would I have been? Now, God would have sent someone else, or He would have had, me to get more from one place, but He understood. God said that this is a global anointing. And when you're dealing with a global anointing and global jurisdiction, you have to have things from different places. So, this is why
Mhm.
it's so important to have life coaches and business coaches and all of the
Yes.
key titles that we add in between because I'm a success coach. I deal with everything in the mind, body, and spirit. There's no way you can do business without God, period.
Right.
If you're a
Right.
lover, you can't separate the two. I don't care what they told you. Separate God from spirit, kick rocks. Not good. That's the reason why 70% of businesses are going underground in 2 years, and then
Yeah.
another 2% in the next 3 years after that. So we have to understand who the principal source is, which is God. He's the Alpha, and He's
Yes.
the Omega. So we
Yes.
need him in that alpha when we start something, but we need him along the process. We need to be able to hide in the cleft of the rock. We need to be able to dwell in the shadow of him in the midst of this process. This changes our mind, and then also we need
Yes.
to heal emotionally. Everyone's gone through
Yes.
something on this earth, but what we weren't meant to take the emotions with us. We were meant to take the experience with us.
That's good. That's
And
good.
so when you take the experience, and that's been my God has been having
That's
me
good.
pray the last few days over that. We appreciate the experience of the bad things that have happened, but God bless them and heal them so that they don't even feel the pain anymore.
Mhm.
We as
Mhm.
women, we go through child labor. They say that that's some of the worst pain there is. And you can hear women talk about the pain like, girl, it was hard, but they ain't crying like they cried when they was pushing the baby because what?
Right.
Remember the experience, but the
Mhm.
outcome was so much more important. And
Yes.
so they don't even remember the pain from the experience. And so that's
Mm.
what I'm in prayer about. Let them, the ones that are still carrying this pain, you weren't meant to carry it. And that's why the illnesses are occurring because of the
Right.
emotions. So when you come with me one on one, we're dealing with everything. I'm killing demons, we're slashing them, we're putting them to the part, and then we're figuring out now what is it that God has divinely placed on the inside of you? What is your
Mhm.
amazingness? And let's shift your mind around. Let's take you
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone, and then let's make you think greater. And then I want you to find one person on earth that's ever had a conversation with me that can't say when they got out of the conversation that their thoughts even expanded so much greater. Why? Because that's what God's word does. The prophetic opens you up and
Yes.
experiences everything when we're moving into this life. And so that's how we end up opening up. We end up hearing what God has to say. At that point, I can start seeing things in the person. A lot of times people are so clung because someone has hurt them. They don't want you to, no, I don't want to really trust you. I don't want to really trust God. I want to deal with God according to the way that man has hurt me. And you can't do that. I want to hold God's people higher than them being actual people and making them gods that failed. You can't do that. You have to really get to heal what you're dealing with internally as you're doing business, and it's all happening together. It's like the crushing of the olive. Everybody sees you as pure, but everybody doesn't want to see what you look like as an olive initially at first. So what we
Right.
have to do is we have to take them from where we are and let them get a glimpse of backwards. Let them know I was an olive just like you. And it took crushing and crushing and crushing, the seasons of crushing
Right.
and sifting and crushing and sifting and crushing and sifting. So when you start seeing what looks more pure to you, I'm still being crushed a little bit more and I'm still being sifted a little bit more, getting all that mangled stuff out of the way and the oil being able to come through. And so you have to do that. And how do you do it? Start with prayer and journal. Start with getting things together.
Mm-hmm.
God is going to show up and show out in your life. There's a Chinese proverb that I love to use that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Mm-hmm.
you're ready, God is going to have someone show up to you and be able to help you get prepared to do what you need to be done. So John Eckhart is the person that keeps in my mind. I need a poster of him really, but it keeps in my mind every time right before these shows come on, or right before I'm on an interview, or right before I'm going on live to deal with the products that I'm helping people get through to get their products. I have to go in prayer, but the enemy is fighting. And when the enemy is fighting me and you get to the point where you're like, you know what? This isn't for me. I expected 50 people in this program and two showed up. And so you have to do those two by faith and look at it as if it's 100 and really
Right.
be prophetic about it. But you have to go by faith. And how do I go by faith? I have to go by faith by remembering John Eckhart. I've got to be who I need to be. I've got to get my journals out. I've got to get my books out. I've got to get coloring books. I have a pandemic emergency kit that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
Yes, because this is what needs to happen. Now, God didn't just give me that yesterday and I did it today. I have fought, I have rolled over, I've had to repent, I have been scared, I have been frustrated. I'm thinking, why me? Why not them? All of this in the midst of it. And at the end of the day, he said, and go. And so I had to
Mhm.
go and deal with that. So the process, if you've never done what God has called you to do in the past, it's okay. Repent, ask for his forgiveness, but get on the ball today. I don't care if you do
Yes.
but one piece of it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I know, sis, I know, brother, he's giving you so much constantly, right? And it's almost like when you told the kids to go clean their room, and then you turned around and say, okay, clean your bathroom. Then you turn around and say, okay, now go and mop that floor. And then they come and say, can I go to the movies with my friends? And they're dressed, and you're like, wait a minute, you didn't do a bedroom. Then you go and check your bedroom, it's not done. The bathroom is not done. And the hallway is not done. And you haven't done everything I asked you to do. So now you can't go anywhere until you go back and get it done. And it's the same
Right.
thing with God. He's gonna direct you of when to go back to what, because there's different seasons for different things. But you would still need to go back, excuse me. You
Mm-hmm.
still have to go back and get those things done. What is God talking to you about today? If you're confused, take time out, go in prayer, begin to just write. If you don't have a physical, quote unquote, cutulicious journal, like I always like
Mm-hmm.
cutest journals. I've spent so much money in my life, thousands of dollars on journals that were cute. Some of them I didn't write all the way in. Some of them, most of them I did. But I had to push myself in this season all over again. Even after I'm creating the journals, I had to push to get back into journaling so that you could
Yeah.
hear what God was saying to you, because He speaks to all of us differently. Push through. Don't let anybody stop you. Think of who has mentored you. If you're on this broadcast and you're looking at Apostle Audra when she's going on live, and you're looking at other people when they're going on live, these people have shown up. It wasn't easy. They just look like it's
Right.
easy. She's all real cute, over there and everything. It looks easy. But I guarantee you she can give you a backstory of how she had to
Okay.
get through it the same way you have to get through it. Push on. And if you get stuck, guess what? You need to be in someone's inbox like ours and be like, hey, what you got going on? Hey, let me get in your class. Hey, let me sow you a seed. Now, that's a whole nother talk if you want to talk about
Right.
that. Seed and seed time and harvest time, because you need to sow a seed and into someone. And so me sowing,
Yes.
me buying Eckhart's books. I listened to the free YouTube videos and they were amazing, but there was nothing like buying that book with me and a highlighter and a pen, sitting down,
Mm,
God giving me a whole nother message with my highlighter and pen. And so when I met him and he started saying, I done been through so much in other countries where they done had to sneak me out because it's been turmoil and all kind, like he's gone through a lot just to deliver the word. He's been in
right.
so many countries, but he still went. He may not have went
Right.
to everything that he was supposed to went to or dealt with everything he dealt with. And we're the same way, but what God is going to allow you to do is exactly what is needed.
Wow. You said so many good nuggets. I'm just I've been sitting here and so much is like stirring and brewing in the atmosphere above me, above us.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see what the pandemic emergency kit has to offer. I know that's going to be good stuff. It's been a few people that have come on since we started, and I know you were showing your journals in the beginning. I do want to acknowledge the audience. Good evening to our audience and those who are on with us live. God bless you all. Thank you for joining. This is Coach Peaches. She is here sharing a lot of good nuggets. So get some pen and some paper because it's some good stuff going on in the atmosphere. But good evening, Sister Jackie Johnson. God bless you. Good evening, Sister Jacqueline. Tanya DeFreitas. Good evening, sis. Hello. How are you? Evangelist Edna Monum. She said, hey, ladies. Good evening. Tam Johnson, Tam the Ram. Good evening, Tam. Hello. Let's see who else is on. Minister Lelia Boyd Davis. Good evening. I saw you on. Apostle Diane Sawyer. God bless you. Thank you for joining as well. My brother Lamont Rankin. Hello, brother. How are you? And Dr. Rochelle, Apostle Dr. Rochelle McMillan. God bless you as well, one woman of God. Thank you all for joining. Do us a favor, like, share, tag the video so someone else can get in on these good nuggets that she is sharing with us tonight. The first thing I want to readdress that you said was take the experience and not the emotion. Oh my God. Like you could preach a whole sermon on that alone because we get caught up in the emotions of what we're going through. And when we, like you said, carrying those emotions, that's what's making us sick. That's what's making us ill when we're carrying all that stuff around. And it's amazing that you said that because that is something I have been practicing is not getting caught up on how what I went through made me feel, but the lesson that I was to learn from what I was going through. Somebody need to hear that. That is one thing God has really been dealing with me about. He says, stop focusing on what that person did, how it made you feel, but what
Mhm.
was it designed to teach you? And in the last year, I've been learning those lessons and not getting caught up in what people are doing. Because a lot of times people will do things just because they may see a weakness in you. They may see not even so much a weakness, they can see some good stuff they can snatch out of you, whatever the case may be. People have an agenda when it's not of God. Let me say that. When it's not of God, people have an agenda of what they want to get from you when they encounter you. But the Lord started dealing with me real strong for these last 12 months. He said, stop worrying about what the person was doing and focus on what you were supposed to learn from what you went through. So take the experience and not the emotion. That is good. Y'all need to throw some hearts and some likes on that by itself. Okay. Take the experience and not the emotion. I do want you, I'm gonna hit this last. But one thing that you said, it reflects the power of books And I think that a lot of, especially ministers, and I've said this before, if you're a minister, there's no way you shouldn't have a book as a preacher and as a minister. If you don't do nothing but take a sermon that you preached and put it into the form of a book, you need a book. Okay. So I'm going to put that out there. But this broadcast is about promoting books, right? But you are evidence of the power of a book, the power of when you, like you said, you were in one place doing what God was telling you to do, but yet you couldn't eat from that table. But God had set a table that you could eat from, which was the books by Apostle John Eckhart. So
Exactly.
you were able to be eating from a table that God had for you. And so I want to encourage somebody out there who is sitting on the fence about your book or more than one book. You need to be writing books. This is how we leave our legacy in the earth. But it was like you said, the teacher, when the student was ready, the teacher appeared, but the teacher didn't necessarily come in the form of a physical person, but it came in the form of a book.
Right.
And so you never know the idea that God has given you, what it is designed to do for the person who encounters it. See, you were reading and learning from books that literally were life changing for your spirituality.
Yes.
You have created books. I'm stuck on the coloring books. I don't know why, but I'm stuck on the coloring books. But those are things that you created that are therapeutic,
Yes.
that although you're not there, a person can still encounter a part of you when they pick up that book. So that was good as well. And that's the power of a book. I also want you to talk about the release journal, because you didn't talk about it. I know it's a digital download, but I want you to talk about the release journal. Yesterday morning, I led a prayer call, and the theme was release. It was the theme. And I didn't even realize that was a theme of it. And remember, you and I talked days ago, and I grabbed the release journal, and then I get on the prayer line, I'm ministering, and the theme is release. And then God began to show so many, began to release, and it began to flow how much what God is getting ready to do for his people. And so I want you to talk about that release journal, what inspired you to put that particular journal together, and how it can help the people.
Okay. So let me give you the link first, if you don't mind. That way you can have it
Is
up while we're talking about it.
is it
It's
is it the same one you
bit
just gave me?
season of release. I mean, you can get it from there. Yes, you can, or either you can
Okay,
go to
okay,
it. You'd have to know the title. But so the season of release. I know that it's a pandemic, but I'm a prophet. God just gave me the prophetic word as he always does. And the bottom line to that is he said, this is a season of promises. This is the season that I'm releasing something into my children. This is something that's great. This is something that's going to be notable, something that you have to receive. You have to know who you are and whose you are. But this is the season of release. I hear the news telling you to be scared. I hear, the scientists telling you to be scared, the doctors telling you to be scared. But the caution should always be there. However, you should be hearing the word of the Lord in a season. There has been times,
right,
even in time where, there was a famine and he had Elijah next to a brook and the ravens brought him food. You got to remember that you have your joint heirs to the throne of grace, which means that there's benefits that come with that being your daddy, right? So the
right.
season of release, meaning that he said that he's opened up the windows of heaven and pouring out blessings right now to those who are ready to receive it. And so
Mm-hmm.
what needs to happen is I ended up getting the journal of the season of release because I was asked to come and speak on a broadcast. And so I was saying, okay, Father God, what would you like me to speak on? I could speak on this because this is what he had dealt with me in my studies that morning. And he said, nah. So I was like, okay. And I knew like 2 days ahead of time that I would be speaking. I didn't get anything for 2 days other than me submitting every member of me in prayer, saying that this must be gonna be good, but I need you to give it to me. He
Yeah.
gave it to me about 30 minutes before it was time to go on. By then I'm
Wow.
like, God, what are you doing? But I know the reason. The reason is so I couldn't second guess what he had to say. Because he
Mm,
had the word that needed to be
wow.
released. people. This
Wow.
was not something that was going to be lightweight. This was something that was heavy. And how dare I stop? And because if I think about it, me trying to explain to people a season of release, I would have been like, yeah, I believe in God. I'd had my hands up, but I was like, they don't want to hear this in a pandemic. Everybody crying and scared, and plus they have people that are leaving, and so. But God said, I hear all of that. You know, the
Yeah.
people are concerned, and he said, my children are always concerned about the one thing that I promised you, which is death. Right. And so maybe I'm not the best person when it comes to speaking of death because I don't speak of it as a bad process. Because God
Mhm.
is not a God that you can just do anything with him. We have free will,
Yeah.
but he still has a decision that he's made for over our lives. He knew me before I was even in my mother's womb. He called me out. He took time to make every single one of us different. So therefore, he had a purpose for each and every one of us. So what I'm saying is that he took me back to Egypt. Took me back to when Israel was in Egypt towards the end. After 400 years, they had been enslaved. You know, kind of like what happened here. And then he said he told Pharaoh to let his children go, but Pharaoh did not let them go. So what ended up
Hmm.
happening? He said he had them to separate from the world, like he told us to do already. And then he started having plagues come on the Egyptians. And then they
Yeah.
still releasing. So there was a process of things. He didn't just kill all the Egyptians. He gave them another opportunity every time. Okay, let my children go. Okay, if you don't, then this is what's next. And if you don't, then
Yeah.
this is what's next.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was your firstborn child, and he hit them where it hurt the most at. Even if they
Right.
weren't upset about the plague that was on their skin, now they were upset because all their firstborn children were gone. But the
Right.
thing that Christians keep forgetting is Israel did not wake up with their firstborn being gone. They were not dealing with the plague
Right.
per
That's
se.
good.
They may have touched part of it, but they
That's
weren't dealing with
good.
it.
That's
So when it
good.
was time to go, while they were doing that, you know what Israel was doing? Packing their houses. Why? Because God had already gave them a word. Y'all need
Come
to hear
on, Holy Ghost.
and stop listening to what the Egyptians, I'm sure, was going on. Y'all ain't going nowhere. Just stay over here and be my servant. You're gonna do it. I know you what. Yeah, I know you think God said it, but bring me some of the X, Y, and Z from over here. I know you said you'll
Mm.
do it, but woman, lay in my bed. They was doing
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that they should not have been doing, and so they had to have plagues that came as their process. So Leviticus 26 verse 2 through 13, which is one of the scriptures that I bring continuously when it comes to dealing with what God is saying about us in this season. He's saying that. So at the end of that process, when they went to go and they started running, and Pharaoh was running behind them, and the sea parted, and they ran through, and the sea closed on Pharaoh and his people. You know that some of them couldn't make it. Some of the older people probably failed. Some of them might have drowned. They didn't talk on that because why? You remember when Moses got there, he went and searched the people, he walked through everybody. And what did he turn to God and say? He said, none are missing.
Hmm.
It
Wow.
didn't mean that some of the people that started the journey had transitioned over. It didn't mean that some of them did
Right.
not go through. What it meant was everybody that you said needed to be a part of this season, none are missing. For those that
Wow.
decided that they wanted to stay in Egypt because it felt better for them, they understood what slavery entailed and they wanted to be there. They didn't talk about them, but you know it was some. It's always some, right?
Right.
None were missing. He said,
Wow.
come on through. So when he came to me and said, now you have a season of release, you just stepped into a season to where I love when they say this word, the uncertain time. We're in an uncertain time. Can you please tell me when there was a certain time? Because I don't know. I missed it. What is it? Maybe I missed it.
Ah.
Maybe I missed it in my life, but we've never had a certain time. How did it become uncertain? I don't know. But needless to say, everything is certain with us. Why? Because God has our back, because He orders our steps.
Yes.
So when we get there, I say the same thing today. None are missing. None.
Hmm.
God
Wow.
has everyone that He wanted to be there with Him. They're already transitioned over. The ones that
Yes.
are still going to transition after they finish doing what they're supposed to do, they're going over. The bottom line is, at some point or another, we're going to all transition. Whether it
Hmm.
be now or whether God miraculously lets us live like the beginning again for 400 years, it doesn't matter. We're going to
Yes.
transition at some point. But what is He saying in this season? So we talk about seasons, which is important. So that's what, when He came, He said to me, go back and talk, because that group of ladies, it was in an intercessory prayer group. I spoke to them either the end of November or the beginning of December of 2019, right before the pandemic. So when I went to talk to them about seasons, and you need to understand your season, you need to know where you are, because if you're praying for the wrong thing in the wrong season, you'll die. If
That's
you live
good.
in Florida and you're praying for a mink coat for the winter when you used to live up north, and you throw that coat on and run one block away, you are dead from heat stroke. You're out of here, right? So you will die in the wrong season with the wrong word. But you need to know
Mm,
the word for the
mm,
season. So he said this, the word for this season is, my promises are still active to you. I still
mm.
have promises to you. I still have promises to the economy in which you, I'm calling a number of you from ministry. The economy is your ministry. It's a part of it. We're not one dimensional. He gave us dominion over the whole earth. That includes
Right,
everything thereof, all seven mountains. We know that the enemy comes like a roaring lion, but we already know we can slash his throat, put our foot in his neck, because that's what God
right.
gave us power to do. He said, if you resist the devil, he's got to flee. Problem is why he's stepping up in churches and he's stepping up in your house, because there ain't nobody resisting him. They're giving him
Yeah,
power. And then
yeah.
they're giving him props for stuff that he ain't even did. So the bottom
Mm,
line is, you got to get in there and figure out what is God saying. So he gave me these scriptures and he said, now go and speak to the people. So I went and spoke to the people, and I had to remind them, I bought you this one version of this right before the pandemic to let you know something was going to happen. And then I know I had blank stares when I finished speaking. Everybody, but prophecy ain't what you used to hearing. And the
right,
word of God ain't making you feel comfortable, because that's not what the word of God is for. But when the word of God comes, sometimes it's like a hard hammer and it hit the ground and the whole ground shake and things start cracking, but you need to be where he's told you to be. So that's what came about from this. So after I got off of there, he said, now go in and do this, put these scriptures together. Then I had a number of people inboxing me, hey sis, I missed the scriptures that you had. Can I get the scriptures? So the Holy Spirit said, put them in the ebook, give them the scriptures, do what you do. You're a journal. Make them write about each one of the scriptures so that they can understand what I'm saying to you in this dispensation of time. So those were some of the promises and what God has said. Those are the scriptures that He gave me, and then there's questions after that. So how does this pertain to your life right now? Where are you seeing this? Why? Because prophetically, when I release it to you, when you start reading, the prophecy takes you. It breaks the barriers in a room unless you fight it. And once you get
yeah.
into that prophetic word, because it's God's word, and that's what he does, he shifts an environment. Once you get the prophetic word, then what ends up happening is it starts opening your mind to the thoughts that God has for you. And then you can
Mm,
write down in there, and then you see the shift in your life. This is how we shift. This is how we keep going. This is how we keep fighting through, because we then know what God has given us, which I call your spiritual mirror. Because my spiritual mirror is all bedazzled and all
yeah.
diamonds and pearls and all on it, and it's real cute. But some days it feels heavy. Where God has
Mm,
to come and give me, because I don't want to know what you're doing. I want Him to give me the word,
right.
but I need to know me. I want to be your best baby. What is it for me? And so that's where that came from. So you can get that season of release book in there. That's the title of it. And it is, you can pay what you like. Everything is a love offering. And he said, make it to a point where if someone does not have but 25 cents and they sold the 25 cents, they still get the option to get a blessing.
Nice,
And,
nice. Uh,
and so that's good. And then I'll let you go with
well,
it.
I was just gonna say, share if you could share each journal again, because you did in the beginning, but if you could share each one more time, because different people have come on and off, so you could share the journals one more time.
Absolutely. So this is one of the prayer journals which just came out this summer, called my summer prayer journal, and this is the one this is the one more interactive. It gives you the option to put a date. A date is always important on anything that you're writing. Please make sure you're putting the date. And if you are unctioned by the Holy Spirit at the time, because it's important when you go back and look. But it's giving you options. Today I prayed for what you prayed for, making sure that you pray for others. Who did you pray for today? What are the answered prayers that you know that have been answered? Because when we pray to God, we should be expecting Him to answer the prayers that we've done. We talk about today's verse. Make sure that you have a Bible verse that you're studying on. We're asking God, teach me this. This is the thing that you're focusing on. You think it's just you, but the Holy Spirit is unctioning you to ask that. And you're asking, Lord, guide me in this area. So then they give you the pictures where you can just color. and just kind of give you a little bit of flair. I put one of my favorite scriptures on the back. That's been altered. It's a lot smaller, but it's the same thing nevertheless, which is Proverbs 10 and 5 that says, know the importance of the season you're in, and wise and a wise person will you be. So you'll make sure that you have that when we have. This is the latest that came out. I This is copyright of my birthday this year, August the 30th, which is my Bible study journal, which charges you to, when you're going into Bible study, whether you're online, in ministry, physically, that you can get in there and you're writing. You're talking about what the word was today. You're talking about some sermon notes. You have the scriptures up here. You have the sermon notes. You're talking about how does this message challenge you? You want to know how to apply it in this week. You're going to write it. And then you're going to write your prayer request or any prayer request that you people have come to you about, or maybe you're in a place like if you're online, and a lot of times I see sometimes people come up in the feed and they'll type, pray for me, X, Y, Z. Put their name in your book and pray for those people. They're not there, and you're not there when they are asking for it for no reason. Trust me. We have the
Right.
gratitude journals, which is New Beginnings Gratitude Journal. This comes in orange, and it comes in pink, and then the white color. And so basically, what it does is it gives you the opportunity for new beginnings. It's a 52-week journal. It gives you a scripture here. Well, it gives you this one. I'm sorry. It gives you a motivational quote, and then it gives you the option to write down what you are grateful for every single day of the week. And if you're putting that down, because this is how you're appreciative on what God does when you are being grateful for what He's doing. Another gratitude journal. I just went through a season where He said it's time to start being grateful for the things that I'm doing for you in this season. So here's another gratitude journal. This one is called Gratitude in My Heart. And this one on the back, it also has Psalms 9 and 1, which I love. I will give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart. And so this is a scripture that he gave me when he gave me this journal. I'm not just doing journals willy nilly because I don't have anything else to do, but this one also has the motivational quote here as well as the weekly scriptures for 52 weeks. And then my favorite, which is one of the line of my luxury journals. This is the Denim Diamonds and Pearls, because I believe every woman loves to be beautiful and cute. And so you get to have a cute book to start that out with. And then in the inside, it's colored. The flower, look, it just inspires me. And I'm just a different person, but gives you the option for your scriptures, whether you had to ask God to forgive you for that day, how, can it help you? You got a place for gratitude. What am I grateful for? The situations you're praying for, prayer requests that you've gotten, important, your decrees and your declaring when you understand why you have the authority to decree and declare. That's a whole nother talk show that we could talk about. The things that I've rejoiced for where prayers have been answered, reflections and notes. And so we deal with that. And it's just cute. I like cute things that because they're small, they're 6 by 9, all the books. You can slide them in your purse. You can go to work. Things get frustrated. You can pop that journal out and begin to write on your break time and get you through with what's happening. This one is called the Anointed Prayer Journal, and this is a daily prayer journal. Yep, let's pull that back. I love calla lilies, and so God gave me the authorization to be able to use my calla lilies finally. And I just did a hashtag on the back. But I love calla lilies, and he said, "Go ahead, baby, you can use your calla lilies this time." So I did, and it gives you prayers and your daily verses and inspiration. It gives you your prayer, your praises, and places to write as well, just notes on what comes next after you have been in prayer. And so we also did the "She's a Winner" Goals Journal. This is for the business women who that you are a CEO of your own business, and that you have started your own small business. You need to have goals. So this is one of the luxury lines of the prayer journal. It's very nice and what I call cute-alicious on the inside of it.
Mhm.
In color,
Nice.
and it gives you the opportunity to understand. This is the week of, it gives you the option to put which week it is, what your goals are, what steps you'll be taking to achieve your goals, your reflections for the week, lessons learned. We break everything down. It's called a weekly journal, but we start from the year. We give you the option in the beginning to start with what is your yearly goals. We start with 12-month goals, and then we go into the monthly goals, and then we start breaking it down week by week, because with no SMART goals, you'll end up anywhere. And in order for you to get somewhere, You can't figure out how much it takes to take care of your family if you're not handling your finances right and setting financial goals as well as spiritual goals and that type of thing. And then lastly, for the ones that I have, and there's more, but this one is for the migraine headache one. And this one is because I went through years of debilitated migraines. Um, Now, there was a reason why I went through it, a whole biblical reason. We could talk about that on another time frame, but in the interim, my goal with this journal is for you to understand that there's a reason that you're going through things, but there sometimes are stimulants. I found out the hard way that cigarette smoke was my stimulant, that put me in. So it just went in to talk to the person and say, okay, what's the date and time? This is what I felt like I should have had in 2008 when I was
Mhm.
debilitated. I could not go to work. I couldn't do anything that year. And just being able to write down the day of the week, the times that the migraine started, the time that it ended, and duration, because you'd be surprised at how people are going through where your headache is, on what area of your scalp. You're just going to shade it in. You're going to put the severity 1 through 10. We're talking about what kind of weather was it today when you went into that migraine? What was the temperature on that day? Because those are important things. And then there's known triggers that could be possible: caffeine, sickness, noise, hot light, just all other kinds of triggers that could cause the problem to even get worse or even started. And then we talk about relief measures. If you are taking medications, then which medicines, their sleep patterns, how were you sleeping? What was the weather like? And that kind of stuff. And it just kind of breaks it down. When you start writing this out, which is what worked for me, then I was able to say, okay, wait a minute, so cigarette smoke is not working for me. Okay, wait a minute. When I get into a point where I'm in with a very area that has a lot of dust, it takes my whole emotional aspect to a whole nother level. And then the emotion that comes with migraines is second guessing yourself when something has happened and another person has not been okay about it. And I absolutely go through that at times. I want to make sure I'm the best person. I don't want to have a full argument. I don't want to make sure that I didn't give you the right information. And if I'm wrong, I want to tell you I'm wrong. I want to make it right. But if I'm not right, I want to stand flat footed and firm, and I want to give you what you need and help to build you up, which is what I'm here for.
Nice, nice. Lots of good, powerful stuff from journaling to getting in that business birthing incubator to getting on the right track. Like just a plethora of information. And the link to find everything Coach Peaches does, it is on the screen. Click on that link, get the coloring books. Yes, I'm still talking about the coloring books. Get the coloring books, get the journals, just get in on exploring a whole different realm. I think these things are going to open you up to things about yourself that you may not have realized were there, or stir up those gifts that are within you. So we are up on the hour. I do appreciate you sharing with us this afternoon, or this evening rather. If you could take some time and just share with the audience encouragement, for someone who needs to push, for someone who is still trying to explore what God has given them, or for someone who knows what God's given them, but they don't know how to execute. They don't know how to go about it, or they're still standing on the fence. Give some words of encouragement for our viewers tonight.
So tonight, I just plead with you to go forth. And you heard the story about what had to hold me down, who had to hold me down in a place where I was being uplifted. And I want you to understand that you have to go forth. There are people waiting just to hear your voice. You and I can
Yes.
stand side by side and say the same exact sentence, and some may hear me, but others will never hear me. They're only going to hear your voice. Don't ever get to the point of feeling like, well, I'm not you, or I don't have this, or I don't have that.
Right.
You have exactly what you need on the inside of you. Everything that you need is on the inside of you. You have the talent, but I will tell you, for me, and my advice is, make sure that you get someone on your team. And I am a success coach, but you want to make Apostle Audra is the success coach as well, whether she calls herself that or not. But get in touch with someone. You need to sow into someone that can help you, because Michael Jordan had the skills. He was excellent, but his skills had to be cultivated and developed in order
Right.
for him to be the person that could not just sit still and shoot a ball when no one's moving. He had to be able to move and strategize and shoot and have a strategy that he was taught. He needed to be able to hit the rim when he was up dunking the right way so that he didn't break his wrist. You never saw him break his wrist.
Right.
So the same thing is you have a talent. You
That's
know you
good.
got it deep down inside, but you've got to have someone to help cultivate you through that,
Yes.
help mentor, to help coach you. And people always say, well, wow, these coaches existed. They always existed. They just had different names. And so God said, y'all didn't want to listen to them when they were just evangelists or just pastors or just prophets or just prophets, apostles. You wanted to. So now I'm giving you a new word. It's almost like just a synonym. You need to have someone that can walk you through it. Not
Right.
any holier than thou person, but you need to have someone that is fixated on understanding the kingdom of God, its principles, give you a like environment where you can get into the environment of women and men that iron can sharpen iron, people that love God just like you. You know, Elijah ran to a cave when he ran from Jezebel. To my God, I'm the only one. And I can imagine God chuckling, going, baby, there's so many more. There's 6,000 more.
Right.
The bottom line is there's more. You in the group that you're in, you feel like an outcast. It's what happens. You
Right.
feel like you don't blend in. It's what happens. But I promise you, there's some of us in a group that have that kind of same mindset. We know that you are who you are, and because we're different, that means amazingness. I remember when I was younger, the Holy Spirit came to me as a teenager and said, if you are looking for a God to be perfect, it's not going to happen. Why? Because I
Mm.
spent so much time making everyone different. He said, but you go
Yes.
and look for the differences in a person. If you can look for the difference and love them for their difference, you'll be a better off person. And that shifted my life. And it's helped me so much. And I can love you right where you are. We can be different because your mantle and my mantle may not be the same. It may look the same, but our
Right.
carbon copy, our fingerprint in this earth is different. And so
Yes.
Miles Monroe said that the graveyard is full of ideas and full of
Mm.
that God has given, but the lack of wisdom did not allow them to place it out there. So,
Yeah.
sis, further, I say place it out there to the people. Go and find someone that can help you do that. Find someone that can strategize with you. No one has ever made it to a World Cup, to an Olympic winning the gold medal. No one has ever made it to the Super Bowl or to the championship games without a coach. The one thing that
Yes.
they have, whether they're a
Yes.
one man team or they have a huge team. The one thing exists about every person that has made it to the height of what they're doing is that they've had to have a coach walk them through it. And if you go into business and ministry, you'll see the same thing. If you go to the huge corporations, go down to Fortune 500 corporations, you'll see the same thing that's happening. They have wise counsel. They're paying for coaches.
Right.
TD Jakes has coaches and mentors. The president Trump, whether we like him or not, he's had coaches and mentors. He don't look like it, but sometimes
Right.
he acts, but he does. And so you still need people not to tell you what to do, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
to pour into you. To be, for me, I become your greatest fan. I'm your biggest fan. I have always
Mm-hmm.
had the ability to see the greatness in people from just the smallest time with them. God blessed me and said, "See, you can go and see the things that are not good for them, but I gave you that so that you can go opposite and give them exactly what they need from the earth realm." And so it is in the earth, it is in the spirit realm. And so that's the purpose. So if you are going, press through. But the reason why you're pressing so hard is because you're going to have to get into a group. You need to change your circle. You need to figure out what's in your circle.
Right.
And it's not to
Right.
say your friends that are in your circle that are impoverished mentally that you just can't talk to them anymore. You're not going to be extra about it. You're just going to shift the circle till you get to a place where you still can grow and learn and be what God has called you to be in this next season. Find it out. We have a group that's called Women Entrepreneurs of Faith in Business. You can go to my homepage, and there's a link on there in the bit.ly /Coach Peaches. My links are there as well, but find our group, Women Entrepreneurs of Faith, and that's what we are in there doing. We are cultivating this group. This is the time that we're providing the infrastructure in this group, and we're getting it organized so that we can help you in the places that you need to go to be able to pull you separate, ye separate from another place, that we can go
Yeah.
and pray and anoint the doorpost with the blood, so that the death angel can cross your dwelling until the time is right that God has said it's okay. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It has been an absolute pleasure. You all can see the link on the screen. I kept it up so that you can visit her website, check out some of the good journals. She's shared all of them. I recall her journey with the migraine headaches. And so that really blessed me to see that you created a journal to show people how to get to the root of it. You know, I have a saying that I coined from one of my fellow authors, which is pain you have to pay. So your pain should be paying you for what you went through. So when you make your pain pay, it comes in the form of a book or some kind of
Mm.
product or some kind of program or some kind of something from what you have been through. So you benefit from the experience, but not the emotion. So I'm just so glad you were able to come on this evening and share with us. What final words do you have for our viewers on this evening?
So whether you go and get any of my journals or anything, my greatest advice to you is go in prayer. Submit every member of who you are and what's happening in this life right now to God. And you may not hear him the first time you get there, but however, he said if you just show up, he will give you his grace for him. Show up continuously. If you're saying I'm going to put time in with God one on one in prayer, because I'm calling all of you cave dwellers out of the cave. Come out.
Yes,
It's time.
yes,
Because
yes,
we need you. The reinforcement is needed. You're looking at the news, you're looking at the people that don't believe in God, you're looking at a lot of things that are happening. But in spite of all of that, most importantly, we need you to cultivate even the heart, the people that are in the ministry already. Because so many of them have slipped through the cracks. So many times they have not been seen. So many times they've been hurt. Some of them have been hurt outside of the world, but they're looking at the church to be some supernatural God, and we're not. But
right,
we're here and we're healing, and your story helps the next person get through. I'm so thankful that I've
yes,
heard so many stories that the hurt that would have happened could not have happened because I was already prepared. Is when you have an exit strategy in God, the things that look like they would be hard to handle are the things that you will handle the best. Don't let anybody tell you that this life is so extra hard. I hear people acting like it's so hard. I don't know what life they're living. I love living for God. This is exciting to me every single day when I wake up. I don't know who He's going to have me speak to today. I don't know what He's going to have me to say. And when He can come and I can start speaking into somebody's life and they get blessed by it, when I'm getting blessed by what God is saying through me, it's amazing. You're going to have up days and down days like everyone else. But my up days feel more higher, and my down days don't stay as long as they did when you were in the world, and they feel totally different. And guess what? In the world, people just forget you. They may have needed your car forever. Now you don't have a car anymore, and you're going through. They don't call you. But in the real world and ministry, when you get into these circles of women, and they're all over the world now, I'm so happy about that. But when you get in
yes,
there, people start missing you and be like, "Where you at?" And I'm one that come and be like, I'm gonna need you to get on the call with me in 10 minutes because I need to hear what's happening so we can get past it. So get into the inbox of someone. If it's not one of us,
yes,
get into the inbox of someone and let them cultivate what God is working on in the inside of you. God is cultivating, He's just doing it through us. You have to have training and understanding on how to make it through this world. There's a process and a pattern, the same way God created the baby, and then we matriculate in life all the way up to old age and then death. There's cycles that are happening there. You need to be prepared to be effective and a good steward when it's time for you to give back in the cycles that are coming
right,
after you. And you need to be a good steward in your finances. You need to have a good legacy. Your journals will be the best legacy ever to some
mm,
child that's 200 years from now.
yes,
Find your journal, and just the fact that they can see your pen writing, the strokes of your handwriting is going to make them
yes,
pass out and be excited when they
yes,
realize that you speak just like them, because we don't give DNA enough weight in our lives. We
mm,
underestimate DNA, and DNA carries so much more. And I believe that what they will find out 200 years from now, the same way if we had the opportunity 200 years from now to talk to our great grandmothers and fathers, you would find out that you've gone through the same cycles and the same seasons. They come and go,
Hmm.
they come and go. And so when you leave a journal as a legacy, guess what? You've left a legacy. That's a true legacy. You can leave finances, but they'll blow the money in a matter of minutes. They're going
Right. Right.
spent your whole life trying to save it. You done seen it happen. And then they
Yeah.
go and see the house as soon as the mom died, the last of the two die, and then they go and take all the money and they blow it and lodge them on drugs or whatever. And there's no legacy for the next generation. But if I got
Hmm.
my books tied up, bound together in love,
Right.
and then the next generation can see them, and then the next generation can see them, and the next generation can see them. Not only when they have that argument, that conversation, and they be like, "Huh, her hair was almost to her ankle, to her knees," and then you got a picture of now being able to see it. My great grandmother had hair past her butt, but when you hear it, like, that lady hair wasn't that long. And then I didn't realize my own hair was that long. But it would have been nice to see a journal from her and see
Right.
dealt with what she went through, even when the time shifts and changes. And so leave that for your family. Give them some good words of encouragement. Give them the raw, uncut version of who you are so that they know who they are, so that they then may be able to read what you have. And now they can do what God has called them to do.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing this evening. Do us a favor. Go ahead, visit that link. You all, it's on the screen, bit.ly/Coach Peaches, and get some of those journals, coloring books, all that good stuff. All right. So God bless you all. Thank you for joining. I am again your host, Audra V. Hurd of the Working Wednesdays broadcast. We appreciate your presence. I appreciate those who have been in the comments sharing. Sister Jackie said she got a lot out of this. So I'm so glad she was able to glean and to pull something good from this. Nanny Roseby says, keep up the good work. God bless you. And thank you, Dr. Rochelle. She said, you look beautiful, Audra. Thank you, sister.
You do. You really
uh,
do.
and then she also said journals are so useful. And so she's so right about that. Different seasons for different things. Powerful. Amen. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you for joining. We will be back next week. My guest next week will be none other than marriage and sex advocate Tanisha Collins. She will be here. She's actually a marriage coach. So she will be here next week and we'll be back. Thank you for joining us. You can catch us on our website, ibgpublications.com. We are also on social media with the same hashtag at IBG. Well, not hashtag, but same handle at IBG Publications on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook and YouTube. You can catch the replay of this particular interview on our YouTube channel. So make sure you plug in, stay updated, and find out what's going on. All right. So God bless you all. Have yourself a wonderful night. We will see you next time.